Hola, buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a este nuevo reto de Educar para el Futuro, en la nueva ecología del aprendizaje. Este año trabajamos este tema que ya hemos venido trabajando en ediciones anteriores, cómo se combina el aprendizaje formal y el no formal, cómo se combinan distintos espacios de aprendizaje y cómo los alumnos han dejado de aprender únicamente en la escuela, en el aula, para pasar a recibir distintos inputs de aprendizaje en distintos ambientes, en distintos espacios y en distintos entornos. Para ello, para iniciar este reto, contamos con Kiran Bir Sethi, la fundadora de Design for Change, una metodología que ya hemos trabajado en ediciones anteriores, pero que este año, en nuestro 10º aniversario, queríamos contar especialmente con la fundadora de esta metodología, que tiene como única filosofía hacer el bien y hacerlo bien. Y para ello tenemos esta actividad de hoy, que va a tener como título Educar en un mundo nuevo. No el mundo del futuro, sino el mundo que ya vivimos hoy. Para conversar con ella contamos con Alfredo Hernando. Alfredo es un colaborador habitual de nuestro programa, es psicólogo y pedagogo. Es burgalés, pero vive a caballo entre Madrid y Viena y distintas localidades de España. Ha viajado por todo el mundo conociendo distintas escuelas y distintas experiencias, y como fruto tuvo uno de sus libros de escuelas del siglo XXI. El último libro que ha publicado es Escuelas innovadoras, familias creativas. Ha sido redactor jefe de la revista Educadores, ha sido asesor pedagógico de escuelas católicas, es conferenciante, asesor, y para nosotros es miembro de nuestro comité asesor desde hace años y aporta frescura, creatividad y mucho sentido del humor a nuestro programa. Alfredo es una persona muy generosa, es el fundador del proyecto Escuela 21, que tiene como objetivo compartir experiencias de aprendizaje, experiencias educativas, y al final yo creo que hablar en España sobre todo de innovación pedagógica pasa muchas veces por coincidir con Alfredo Hernando. Una de las cosas que más me gusta de tener a Alfredo en nuestro comité es que, a pesar de ir soltando ideas sueltas, es capaz de crear constelaciones hasta que consigue verlas conectando esas ideas, esas estrellas, para ayudarnos cada año a dar forma a este programa. Por mi parte nada más, les dejo con la conversación, le dejo con Alfredo Hernando y que disfruten de la actividad.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias, Carmen, porque creo que hace mucho que no me hacían una presentación tan bonita, así que muchísimas gracias. And now we switch to English. I'm sorry for all the native speakers that are going to be listening to me, at least to me, because you know I'm living in Vienna, so I always need like a 20 minutes lap to switch to German to English, and to, you know, so I may have some works going in German, but I think it is not a problem with Kiran, because if someone have been also around the world and visiting schools and knowing what is happening all over is Kiran Bir Sethi. She is an Indian designer, educationist, education reformer, social entrepreneur. I think we all know her. I think when are you going to have your own TV show about design for change? When is this going to happen? Because I think also talking about education and about innovation is also, you know, talking also with Kiran. So you have a degree in visual communication from the National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad, where you are right now. You are in India, right now, Ahmedabad. You began your career designing restaurants and later writing for newspapers. That is very interesting. Do you recall how some of your past writing in newspaper, where you are kind of a journalist? How did you come to that?
In fact, I just published my book with all my articles that I used to write for the newspaper. I used to write about parenting, I used to write about design, I used to write about just anything that they allowed me to write. And I was sitting in my computer maybe around 6 months ago and looking at all my previous work because I had time because of COVID. And I suddenly realized, my God, all of these articles are there. Let me just self-publish it and put it into the world. So literally 1 month ago, my book got published, which is really all those fun articles that I had written. So yes.
Tell us the title. Tell us the title, because it looks very exciting. What is the Google Guide to Life? Oh, that's perfect. The Google Guide to Life.
When my children were young, I used to learn from them, and there were moments of parenting. So I just thought, okay, let me put it up. So yes, I should now add, I'm a published author.
So now we have the renamed writer from the Google of
Google Guide to Life. Yes, bestseller.
So, on the go. So meanwhile, you were very interested in design thinking and designing experience, but it was with your children that you were starting going to school and recognize your true calling with design thinking. I think we are going to have time to talk about that in this hour. You started you set up in the Riverside School in Ahmedabad, and then founded, developed Design for Change, this incredible, huge global movement about, like Carmen said, doing good things well done, I would say in English. You were born in Bangalore, in India. You come from a family of designers, and now you are living in Ahmedabad with your 2 children and your husband, sorry. two children, 1 husband. One husband is enough, I know. You love life, dark chocolate, and Govinda movies. I have 2 questions for you for starters. Which one is your favorite Govinda movie, or what is a Govinda movie for all the ones that haven't watched a Govinda movie until now?
Oh yes, a Govinda movie is everything about life that is joyful. This was an actor who came from a very simple small town in Mumbai, and when he came onto the screen, there was so much life and joy on his face that I think that captured my heart. I love people who are joyful. I love his talent. There was a tremendous talent. And for a long time, people didn't take him seriously because they thought, oh, he can just dance and he can, sing songs. But he is a truly, truly gifted artist as well. And for me, just to see his total abandon, he would get onto the stage or he would get onto the street and he would not care what people thought. For me, that is a wonderful freedom, the way an actor can come on and not worry about, pressure or approval. So for me, that was a very exciting actor to see. So for me, Govinda is everything that is joyful, that is talented, that is shameless, that is without any excuse, and for that is I would encourage everybody to see a Govinda film. If they want to start one, they should see a really good fun called Bade Miyan Chote Miyan. So it's
I'm gonna make
oh brother.
I'm gonna make sure I have the time to watch this.
Okay, just watch his dancing. Just ask Govinda dances. Just YouTube that.
And then, okay.
But
it's sadly often that we think because somebody made us laugh, we don't take it serious. Like you say, somebody he could dance, he could make us laugh, but then it's kind of serious enough to be, their own character. But it's a common mistakes that I think we are trying to redeem now in Corona times, where we need to laugh and dance at home, and we did it more than anywhere.
You're absolutely right. I think during the Corona, if nothing else, we have to get our children to feel brave and joyful again, because I just say, look at the world they've been watching, Alfredo. I mean, everybody's scared. There is anxiety. They have been told that if you love somebody, stay away from them. Be afraid. Be afraid of you, be afraid of me, be afraid of parks, be afraid of schools. So that's so much fear. And I think the deepest commitment we have to give our children is to bring courage back, to teach our children to be brave again. Forget about the math and science, that will happen. And for that, we have all the online tools to learn. But to be brave again, to be courageous again, to love again, freely and without fear, I think that is going to be our greatest urgent responsibility in education. Everything else will fall into place.
Let's start from this. You are also, I mean, you are a well-known educational reformer and social entrepreneur. Design for change is all over the world, but you also are a mom, and you say you become this figure because you love for education for your children, what you discover in this journey of your own, of the education of your own children. How was your time in quarantine, in lockdown with your children? What did you do? Because I mean, we have to encourage our children to be brave. So I asking you also as a father of two, how did you do it in this time?
Well, I have to say my children are not children anymore. My son is 30 years old. My daughter is so they're not children. They were living separately. They have their own homes. They live in their own homes. So yes, I think both my children do very interesting things. My son is a musician and he runs a music studio and produces. So music and the arts were very important to take him through this time. I think the fact that I keep saying, we keep putting arts away from school. We say, oh, arts will be, when you have time or when you have in the weekend. But I think music and the arts are very, very important for the soul. It's really food for the soul. So yes, my son continued to produce music and be involved in music. So that was a very important, I think, balance that he had through Corona. And my daughter actually was an interesting study because she's a type 1 diabetic. So she was in the comorbidities and the extreme cases, and we had to be careful about her. But I think when children are fundamentally, I would say, aware of their responsibilities, and I think that's one thing we keep removing responsibility from our children when they're young. We keep telling them, you don't do anything, I'll do this for you, I'll do this for you. But I think both my children, of course, and children from Riverside grew up to take care of themselves also. So I found that my daughter was able to manage diabetes. Also, she runs a foundation to help others manage diabetes. So that gave a purpose. So through the Corona, my son found purpose with music, and my daughter found purpose in getting other children to live life confidently through the Corona. So I think purpose was needed, so that the focus that life is not about fear, but about purpose. That kept them going through this time. So yes, so my children are not children anymore.
They're looking for purpose. I see it's very important. How did you find purpose yourself in design thinking, and how was this transformation from design thinking to design for change?
That's a really interesting question, because as a designer, and you always are, your education is about the user, right? You always design keeping the user in mind. So in a way, there is there is clarity in the goal. You're not just designing, you're designing to ensure somebody's life is a little less painful or more courageous, or you design for that purpose. But I think, so that was my passion. So design thinking was a big passion. When I was designing the restaurants, I remember breaking every rule that had to be in a restaurant. It was not just about sitting there and eating. It was an experience. And the restaurant became my blueprint to learn about and explore my passion. But I think when I became a mother, my passion found purpose. So I had the skills, I had the passion, but it was more really to have moments of engagement. Yes, I could design a restaurant, then I didn't have to worry, I could do another thing. But when you had purpose, when I found purpose, when I experienced the education with my son, and then I decided to take him out and start the school. When you find passion fit with purpose, that gives you your lifelong story. So I think for me, the passion was always there, but the purpose came with my child, with my son, and then Riverside and Design for Change gave me the lifelong story about where my passion and purpose will drive me and wake me up every single day. So I think
it could grow. It could grow.
Yeah.
I think I have to make this question. Also, I think everybody knows what Design for Change is, but I mean, in your words, what is Design for Change?
Well, Design for Change is a very structured framework to help children believe. And it's like an opening. It's like a window that opens and they can see the world of possibility. And I think Design for Change gives them that confidence and courage that they can do something about what bothers them. They don't have to wait for permission. So I think till Design for Change was crafted, a lot of children were doing things. I mean, there were projects and they were doing things, but very often it was not their agency. It was not something they believed in. It was often a teacher would come and say, okay, Alfredo, today we will clean up garbage. Today we will do climate change. But we were never listening to our children. We were not listening and saying, what is it, Alfredo, that bothers you? Can you share with me? And giving respect to what bothers you. And then saying, yes, here is a structured way, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, for you to make your world, not the world, your world a better place. And when you give them that confidence over small little pieces, like they're stepping stones, and then that confidence builds, so when they graduate, after believing this in education, then they will be ready for the world. So very often for 15 years, we don't tell our children to even engage with the world. We close the doors, we close the windows, and for 15 years, we tell them to sit inside a classroom and be quiet and listen. And then we're surprised, we're saying, my God, why is the world in such a problem? Shouldn't children be confident and responsible? No, for 15 years, you told them, please wait, you're not ready.
To stay there.
Yeah, and Design for Change flipped it and said, you are ready today. Today, we want your ideas, not tomorrow, not when you're 18. And so I think that confidence, when we started seeing children address the world and tell us what bothers them. Oh, my school bag is heavy, or nobody's playing with me in the playground, or my friend is all alone and they're bullying him. So many things. Or my grandmother is alone at home and nobody's giving her medicines. What is the solution for that? Small things. But when they were noticing the world, they said, oh, here's the situation. And I can make it better. And they were bringing this to education. And educators around the world were saying, oh, that's wonderful. Yes, that's important. And when they gave the gift of importance and respect to the situation, the child felt, yes, this is important for me. And I'm being taken seriously. And then if you do the step by step, the feel, first, what is it bothers you? Imagine, brainstorm with your teachers, friends, and make it fun. Then what can we do to change the world? Do, so put that into action. Otherwise, a lot of school says, imagine, but I don't have time to do. Because we don't have time, we have to go for a math class. We have to go for a science class. So let's just make a nice poster. Let's make a nice painting. Let's write, imagine. But here we were getting children to actually do the change story. And then the fourth step of sharing, and Alfredo, that's my best. Suddenly, children were sharing the stories. And suddenly we were seeing these children across the world, lighting up the world with their passion and purpose. Both were coming for these children. And then suddenly that spotlight of all of our children across the world telling us that I'm here today. I'm making the world a better place today. Look at me, notice me, see me. I think that's what design
already today. That is one of the secrets, at least, because one of the other things I wanted to talk to you is how do you go from Riverside to the world? I'm seeing right now through my screen the photo. I guess is Juan Antonio Ojeda and you with the Pope Francisco. So how did you go with this frame of work from Riverside in India to such a big movement of teachers, social entrepreneurs, students working around? How I didn't do my homework, so I don't know the data. You know, I don't know how many countries, but I guess how all it happened from Riverside to the world.
Well, that's a really interesting story. I remember when in 2009, a friend of mine was doing another interesting festival of change, and he asked me to join, and I said, listen, forget about the adults, let's get children to understand change. So he said, okay, you do it. So that really became an opportunity to take what I was doing at Riverside and make it into a simple framework: feel, imagine, do, share. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do it in India. That's great. So we reached 30,000 schools in India in 2009. Okay, it was wonderful. And then I was thinking, will I do it the next year in India? I don't know. Maybe it was a great, idea. Good enough. And then I got invited to speak on TED. And when I spoke on TED in 2009 in November, I remember suddenly in January, because the TED talk went live, and I suddenly got invitations and from Facebook, and I got emails from around the world of people saying, I love what you do. Can I do this too? I have to tell you, it was not part of the plan. So when I did Design for Change, it was just to say, okay, we will run this in India. That will be great. But I believe, again, as design thinkers, you always respond to opportunity. You look at an opportunity and say, oh, I never thought about this, but how am I going to be responsible and responsive to the opportunity? That's how design works, right? Design seeks opportunity and says, can we do a what if? That's really how it happens. So I put everything online, put everything open source, and just started receiving the inquiries from around the world. And it just literally went viral. So the first year in 2010, we were in 10 countries. Then in 2012, we were in 20. Today, we are in 60 countries, and we're one of the biggest movements of children saying, I can. And it really started just as a way to say more children should believe this, not just children at Riverside. Again, I think that's a responsibility in education. And that's what I find we don't do enough. When you have an idea that is working in a particular school with children, I think it's a moral responsibility of education to share it with children across, because you cannot be everywhere, but an idea can reach and plant a seed in another place. So I think a lot of it comes from my influence of Mahatma Gandhi, moral responsibility for the greater good. So I feel that in a way, when I saw the magic happening at Riverside, it was such a natural way to say, now we must share it with the world. And eventually, of course, today, we see how children across the world are responding and making visible their capacity. It's all inside our children. It never went away. I think Design for Change just offered a little opening, a little window for us to see our children.
And how Design for Change looks in the practice. Like you have now 60 countries. There are a lot of stories to tell about all the great designs and the great shares of these students. Can you tell us, some of your maybe favorites, or some of your, or your, no, not favorites, but maybe the ones you keep in mind because of any reason, how this, as example of how Design for Change look real afterwards in the life of these students of these schools all over the world.
Yeah, let me give you a couple of examples. So, and let me give you the flow of how it happened. There is a toolkit. Design for Change has a simple toolkit. It's up on the website. It's free to download. It's in 17 languages now. So it's all available. So somebody can download it, or our partners, supposing like in Spain, I have a wonderful partner called Miguel. Miguel Lungo is our partner, of course, in Design for Change Spain. So we have partners in every country. Once the challenge reaches a school, children are invited to look at what bothers them. Let me tell you a very interesting story that happened 2 years ago from Taiwan. There was a group of children, and they created a cockroach farm Please understand. So they started realizing cockroach has a very bad reputation. People don't like cockroaches, and cockroaches are noble animals, and we must change the reputation of cockroaches. And I'll tell you the deeper meaning of it. A lot of the children in their class were being bullied. And I think they wanted to change the way we respect. So respect as a larger idea went even to the idea of a cockroach. It was fantastic. They said if you can respect a cockroach, then everybody can be respected. So these children created a cockroach farm, took the feces, the shit of the cockroach, collected that, and made that into compost to grow cabbage that they could sell to raise money, because they needed to raise money for some event of theirs. What a fantastically brave, beautiful story, right? So here it was not a teacher saying, no, 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 cockroaches are bad. No, 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 they will be bad. Here, when the children brought the idea to the teacher said, yes, let's do this. So all it requires is one adult to say, yes, you can. And so these children created this super farm. They collected all the feces, and then when they went with the cabbage to people, and people said, how did you grow it? They said, with a cockroach shit. It's very tasty. So there was a lady who said, I don't believe it is tasty. So the children were eating in front of us. See, I'm eating the cabbage. It's very tasty. But you know, it's easy. It can be as joyful as that. And there's another story that came to us from a little village school in India, where the children noticed that their grandparents were not being respected. So then they decided they will sit with the grandparents, write all the wisdom about the stories of the grandparents, the way they play games, the food they used to eat. And they made a library in their school with the wisdom of the grandparents. So it could be as wonderful and as diverse as that if you listen. That is the expectation. So when you ask me how does it work in real life, it works when an adult listens to the children, trusts what they bring, and helps to become the wind beneath their wings so that they can fly with the idea. So that really is how it works.
I see. We also, one of the things I also learned as a father is that we really need to listen. Sometimes the people ask me, you know, what I have to learn to become a father? I say, I mean, what do I have to teach to become a father? I say, you don't focus on what you have to teach, focus on what you have to listen and to learn, because you are the main actor of this learning path with your children. I mean, they have to learn, but most of it, I don't know if it's going to come from you in any way. So anyway, take this opportunity to learn a lot. And forget a little bit of the teaching and focus on what you have to learn, because in my words also, listening and learning your own is going to teach a lot.
Yeah, no, I have to say that that's important, because I have learned one important lesson is where the children are always watching you. They're watching the way you behave. They're watching what you're not teaching them. And I keep saying that children might not listen to you, but they will always imitate you. And you should be worthy of being imitated. What are you presenting when you're not teaching? Because children are going to learn what you're not teaching them. They're learning how you talk to your colleague. They're learning whether you're kind to the support staff. They're learning the way you respect maybe the bus driver. They're learning that. And those cannot be taught if you do not practice that, if you're not role modeling that. Correct? So I keep telling parents, teachers, all of us, we have to be worthy of being imitated. So if for instance, a child comes home and you ask her, what is your teacher teaching? And she said, keep quiet, sit down, I will beat you. Then you say, oh, is that what they're seeing? Is that what they're seeing, what's happening in their schools? I have seen so many times when children will come and they will mimic their parents. Hello, I have to go, I don't have time. So they're seeing their parents always on the phone. So it's really, really important. I remember Howard Gardner said this once. He said, if you want to know what's happening in a house, don't see what parents are talking during dinner, see what they're doing at dinner time. And now everybody's on the phone. Everybody's looking down and not looking at their children, not looking at each other. And that is what we have to reimagine. So design for change in many ways asks you to engage with your heart. So you have to meet people, you have to slow down, you have to listen. So in many ways, those skills that are being lost because we're only looking down at the phone or into Zoom now, unfortunately, we're only looking at 2 dimensions. And learning is such a 3-dimensional body activity. Every part of your body has to be involved in learning. So I think that is another thing that Design for Change does a lot. And I think that is the need for our children more than any other time. What are they watching at home? Look at the year. They're watching their parents on Zoom. They're watching everybody's on Zoom. They're watching everything on 2 dimension. So that shift has to start happening again.
What would you say to a teacher? You know, we are talking about the math teacher, you know, this symbolic math teacher that is saying, I don't have the time because I have this curricula. So how would you respond? What would you say to a teacher who says, yeah, I think what you do is very important, but we need to teach this curricula. We need to have this time. How do you emerge, or I don't know, how do you create a relation between Design for Change? What do you have to teach, or curricula? How does it work in any way, or how can be a good excuse to teach also the framework?
Yeah, you know, actually, it's if there is purpose in your teaching, it's not difficult at all, right? Unfortunately, most of our teaching is cut short because of time. We have no time, we have no time, we have no time. But in the time you have, if you always start with relevance, the idea of why this matters rather than what you will learn, but why you will learn it, even that invitation to invite the students into, listen, today we're going to have a really interesting journey. We're going to learn why machines matter, or why quadratic equation is such an interesting story. Bring the why into the program. And the other thing I will keep saying is relationships. No learning happens without relationships. And most often than not, we walk in to teach subjects, but not reach our children. So we go there to finish things. We go, we write on the board, we finish, and we walk out. And we have no understanding that when we reach our children and invite them into the learning, even that moment shifts in energy. I've seen teachers in village schools first walk in with a smile and an energy. And I keep saying, you can only infect somebody with what you have. If you have energy and passion, somebody is going to get infected by that passion. But most of us take our job, we think, so seriously, and we make learning lose its passion. So I have seen amazing teachers walk into class with a smile, with an invitation that, come on, we're going on this journey together. It's just a little way to shift the way you invite and not instruct. So most often than not, we get into instruction rather than an invitation. And if you change the way you think about that time, because that time it's not a lesson, it's time of you and my life. I will not get 40 minutes back again. It's time. And we must remember we have to be very responsible and sacred of that time. It doesn't come back. So we have to just switch into our heads the idea of an invitation rather than instruction. The idea of reaching, not teaching. So it's just a little way to think about your time. I keep telling teachers sometimes, if you were told that this day is the last day on the planet, this is the last lesson you'll ever teach, what would you do with that time? Invariably, teachers have told me they will never be in a classroom. They'll be talking about life. They'll be outside somewhere. I said, think about that every single day could be your last day. That's the only reality we have. We have no confidence that tomorrow will happen. So use that opportunity of today being an opportunity for you to plant the seeds of both content and character, passion and compassion. If you can just put that ingredient into the recipe of your class, you'll find that there will be magic. That's really what I have learned.
I like what you say, because I think we are living an unprecedented time, but also what you say about reframing. We are in this moment we are reframing everything. It's because of Corona, of course, but it's also we are reframing a lot of experience of our lives, and also education. We don't know what is going. We have a clue about what is happening now with the lockdowns and opening schools and how it looks like for the moment, but we don't know how it's going to be in the next years. What is going to be the effects from this global crisis that is sadly still long, and it also needs a long time to pass. So I think education is going to be reframed. We were working before Corona. We were already working in reframing education, giving less lecture and more invitation, more listening, more user design experience. So, but I think now this huge crisis is a big opportunity to reframe a lot of the things that are happening in education. So, how is your view about what is gonna be? How are we gonna reframe education or schools? So it's going to are they gonna have two different paths? Are gonna go together? Schools, education. I don't know. How is your view about what have we learned from this situation?
I think one thing we've learned is what not to teach when we are in person. I think that's a big thing. We have to declutter. I think we've realized what is truly important. And I have to say you one thing that has not changed is the heart. We must always start with the heart. And that has not gone out. In fact, on the other hand, I think it has given us even more urgency that is where we make the biggest difference in our children's lives. I think one thing we have realized is they can learn about the world by themselves through Zoom, through network, but to learn about themselves and each other, they need interaction in person. So I think in many ways, the purpose till now was always, let's get you into college, let's get you out, let's get you to learn subjects. I think we're definitely reframing what the purpose is. Reimagine, not even reimagining. I think it's becoming clearer and clearer. I think we were reaching there, we were getting there, but we were still reluctant to take those bold decisions to reimagine time. So even if we still have X number of hours, what are we going to do in those hours? Now I think it's given us confidence that what children can do by themselves, let them do it. And when they are in person with us, what will we spend time on? It will be on conversations, it will be on celebration, it will be on challenges, it will be on thinking, it will be on collaboration. I think that's going to become the curriculum. No longer will your timetable look at math, science, English. I think it will be empathy. Maybe there will be celebration. Maybe there will be a lesson on evolution and reflection. These will be what they will be learning in person to then apply by themselves. So I think in many ways it will declutter. It's given us courage. It's given us confidence that our children can learn by themselves and they don't need you all the time. And that's massively important because it gives us time. And I think for us, time is going to be the biggest ingredient that we will reimagine. Not even so much the curriculum, it will be time. Time will be the variable that we always struggled with. Always we had this thing, oh, there's no time, there's no time, there's no time. But I think now time has become
I think I would love to have, like a student plan like you just described, like a celebration in the morning, and then a little bit of empathy exercise, and then a collaboration through, I don't know, English, math, and then, I don't know, your teamwork, and then your tutorship with your teacher, and then once again, celebration before having lunch. It could be great. I will love it also for me, not only for the students, but also for myself as a worker. What have you been doing in Design for Change? What has been the role of Design for Change all over these months? Because we were at home, we were closed, and we were open. Then it have changed a lot, and also the way of how students can develop the project. So how the Design for Change evolved the last year with all of this challenge?
In fact, it was a very exciting year for Design for Change. Till now we felt that children had to engage in communities to be able to do acts of change. And suddenly that was removed. That basic ingredient of design for change was gone. So we had to flip. So many of my country partners came up with such fantastic, I call it design ovations, that they came out with. So for instance, my partner in the US, Design for Change partner US, did a beautiful design for change, but from home. So she called it Do Good from Home. So the Do Good from Home became the challenge that our children would otherwise do. My Design for Change partner in Spain, Miguel, did some fantastic work on student leadership. Lots and lots of great teacher development. It really flipped to making teachers feel confident because they were wanting tools. My Design for Change Singapore and Israel partner came up with a beautiful story of having children from different countries talk to each other and express their anxiety and leave that session with confidence. So they called it Design for Change Connect, DFC Connect. My Design for Change Brazil partner was collecting dreams. My Design for Change India partner, Israel, Ireland, South Africa, all of them were doing some wonderful programs with UNICEF, with student leadership. So I think it gave us an opportunity, even Kenya did super work around teacher development. I think the big push came that here was an opportunity now to work with teachers. So till then we were working with children more intimately, but last year gave us an opportunity to work with teachers and parents. So I think that was a great learning that the same framework, feel, imagine, do, share, was equally valid and urgent and important for the adult community. So we really shifted a big focus into adult learning. So that was really nice.
Yeah, I see all over the world there are great ideas, waiting to find the right moment to rise. We are coming to an end slowly. We have, but I will really love to have two questions for you. One of them is, what have you learned this year? Because I think we have been living an incredible, extraordinary experience in all the ways. It's been more than a year since from the beginning of this crisis, and I think we all of us have learned a lot. And I would like to to ask you, what have we learned, and what do you think we have also learned as a global citizenship? What have we learned? The whole world have learned from these months. How is your view about the last year?
I think in one way I'm super grateful. In a humble way, I'm talking about why I'm super grateful that this happened to us, and in my lifetime, I got to see it in my lifetime, was the recognition of collective will. Suddenly, the world came together for humanity. I mean, for the first time, I saw that we were not working against a country or against a people, against a nation. It was for the first time, I mean, just take the example of a vaccine. Imagine a vaccine coming out in less than a year. It is unimaginable. But there was collective will that everybody had to be saved. I don't know what the motivations were. Were the motivations economic? I don't really care. But what it came out was, if there is collective will, unprecedented innovations can happen. The reverse is also true. And sometimes I feel we've never had this collective will for our children, for education. It's an equal pandemic. It's been happening for years. But we've never addressed it with this collective will that we did to get our vaccine out. So I keep saying a vaccine has come for our health, but we need a vaccine for our children's hearts. And I think that's really what is the need of the hour. So for me, I was surprised by how amazingly all the countries rooted for each other for the vaccine. And I'm wishing for the same collective will now going forward for our children. Because my worry is once the vaccine comes and everybody feels confident again, we might just close our doors and our hearts again. And I just want them to stay open. I want that light to flow through. And I want us to continue to believe in the best of all of us. So yes, that's what I saw.
that is amazing. A very nice wish to look up to in the next months and in the next years. And do you want to send a message to the teachers that are going to be teaching the next months between the complete open and the lockdowns that we are still living? What can you say to the teachers that are still in schools and they are living with this working with this incredible situation, with the distance, with the mask, with everything that the students are really doing in an incredible, very brave, amazing way. Also the teachers. So how can we help teachers to keep on doing the great things that they are doing in all this difficult environment?
I keep saying, whilst we talked about the health workers being the frontline workers, etc., I think the teachers, the teaching committee was equally frontline. I have never seen such an amazing response, literally overnight, for teachers to upskill, to go online, to learn things that they were not familiar with, so that their children would not lose. So I think in many ways, the respect that most of the teaching profession never really got, I think that respect we are seeing our teaching community get, which is super outstanding. But I think the piece that I would like to wish for the teachers is to take care of yourself first. Don't burn out, because the burnout has been serious, it has been real, and so many issues have come in their own homes. For me, I wish that they would look after themselves, because it's really like in the aircraft. Remember when it is going down, they say, put the oxygen mask on yourself and then look after the others. We need you. We need you for the long run. So please take time out. Just look after yourself. Know that you're not alone. Reach out, call out, but know that you have to take care of yourself. Only then we'll be able to look after the world. So I have so much respect and regard for all of you. I'm sending you so much love. I wish I could hug every teacher on the planet and tell them what an amazing job they're doing. But really, God bless the teaching community. And yes, we need you. It's a marathon race. It's not a 100-meter dash. It's okay if some days don't go so well. Look after yourself. Look after yourself. We need you.
Thank you, Kiran. It was a pleasure to hear you, to have this talk with you. And I think we could have a Zoom hack. It would be something like this, But it was our pleasure. Thank you very much for this time, for this hour. I just can say thank you. We will have really a closer look about what you say and about the framework. And I hope, and I know Design for Change is also going to be a marathon story to be running for the next year. So thank you very much. And I'm going to have to say goodbye to Carmen from Fundación Ibercaja again.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Bye.
Thanks, both of you. It has been a pleasure to share this conversation with us. Thank you, Kiran, for sharing your passion and your energy with us, and thank you for inviting us to open that window and see that world of possibilities, and inviting us to make a better world, for our better world, not only for children, also for adults. Thank you so much. Gracias, Alfredo. Thank you again. And muchas gracias para todas las personas que nos han estado siguiendo. Les invito a que vuelvan a ver esta actividad y el resto de actividades de esta edición de Educar para el Futuro a través de nuestro canal de YouTube de Fundación Ibercaja, y les emplazo a la siguiente actividad, que tendrá lugar el día 21 de abril a las 18 horas a través de nuestro canal de YouTube, una nueva conversación con Dolors Reif y César Pollatos, para hablar de cómo coser esa brecha digital que en estos tiempos de pandemia se ha ensanchado bastante. Muchas gracias de nuevo y nos vemos en otra actividad. Gracias.
Juntos construimos un mundo con más oportunidades para las personas, para conseguir una sociedad más inclusiva y sostenible. Fundación Ibercaja. Juntos hacemos más.